Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridges Grove and 30 Days of Goddess, and I wanted to make a very quick little video for you about our prayers you can hold in your hand booklet, which is one of the offerings for 30 Days of Goddess in July. The booklet is free with the newsletter or at the 30daysofgoddess.com website. This was a collaborative project with the other members of 30 Days of Goddess, in that I had shared some ideas with them about what I was calling five-finger prayers, or prayers you can hold in your hand, and what Barbara Ardinger calls handy prayers. And then they contributed things as well. So the final little booklet is a collaborative offering created both by me and then members of our Goddess Magic community, our Creative Spirit Circle community. And so that's where it comes from. The booklet that I made myself, I used a cover from Dancing Goddess Dolls. I'm one of her patrons, and I liked the little cover image. I liked the little card, to use the cover. And then inside, one of the art cards from Effie Wild, who does Book of Days. I'm one of her patrons on Patreon. And this was just perfect because this was the card for this week, was offering. And so I used that on the inside cover, and then I used another card from Effie, Grace, on the back side. But I wanted to talk really briefly to you about how to put your booklet together. I have other videos about assembling a little prayer booklet. This one has a few more specifics because some of the pages do need to go in the right order. They don't have to, but there's an instructions kind of page. And when you print out your file, it will not necessarily be in the right place. You have to manually shuffle your pages around to get it into the right order. So I wanted to talk about that briefly. And then in general, the idea of the five-finger prayers is using your hand. I always say our bodies are our own sacred spaces. We are an altar wherever we go, and we always walk on holy ground. We walk on sacred ground. We are our own sacred space. And so the idea with these five-finger prayers, or prayers you can hold in your hand, are that you use your own fingers and your own hands as your prayer beads or malas for simple, small prayers. So something like, these are 5-word prayers. So breathe the breath of grace, or I walk on holy ground. And you can do them different ways. You can touch your fingers into your palm to keep track with the words. You can I tend to touch my fingertips together, which then leaves me, in general, either I tap my thumb twice, or I just open my hand on the fifth statement. So I go through my fingers and then I open my hand for the fifth one. Sometimes I will tap twice and then open my hand, or tap like this and then tap like this and then open my hand. And so there's really not like a right way or a wrong way, but the hand, it's part of this. It's kind of an embodiment practice, part of reminding yourself that your own sacred space, and then using your hands in this way to offer your prayers or blessings for the day. So that's the process, and the booklet has all kinds of ideas for different ways to use that, and then a center page. But what I wanted to point out is that when you print it, it has to be printed double-sided, and depending on your printer settings, you will either choose side flip or top edged in order to get the pages to print in the right orientation, because printers will have settings like they'll be side flip or top flip, or long edge or short edge. So you'll choose based on the orientation. So you'll choose long edge or side flip in order to get them to print the right way. But it depends on a lot depends on your printer. If you're having trouble, make sure you look at the settings for double-sided printing, because they are there, just the wording that they use is different. And so I recommend printing on white paper first, or scratch paper first, to make sure you've got the orientation right, and then go ahead and print on colored paper or something prettier. So what you'll end up with is full sheets of paper, but each sheet of paper will have 8 pages on it. 4 pages on one side and 4 pages on the other side. You cut those pages in half across the middle, so then you have a stack of pages like this. So they're cut in half like this. and then you have this stack of pages. And then what I suggest, so the way the booklet is currently laid out, when you print it double-sided, you're definitely going to have the front pages are going to be in the correct place. The little instructional page and the cover page, you will definitely have those in the right place. And the back page will be in the right place. Then the interior pages, you will have to intentionally go through and lay together in the way that you want them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you just have to, don't get freaked out if they don't seem like they're in the right order. Cut them in half. And then what I always say is like stack it up like a sandwich. So the bottom's the bread, then you're putting on some lettuce, then you're putting on some cheese, then you're putting on some meat, and then you're putting another piece of bread, and then the center piece, so this would be your top piece of bread, would be whichever page has this center mandala on it. That's your top piece of bread. So then you have a little sandwich, and you fold it in half. I stitched mine, and so there's a knot in the center, but you can staple it. There is no shame in a staple game, and you don't even have to have a cover. You can just staple the booklet as it is. And so the end, aside from this front page, which has the correct page, and then the example, which, so wherever you see this page that has the example on it, stack that up so it's the next layer in your sandwich. Stack that up so that's the cheese in your sandwich. And then the other pages can pretty much go however you want them to go. So you'll have only three full sheets of printer paper. You cut all those printer paper pieces in half this way, cut them in half horizontally, stack them up like a sandwich in the order that you want, and then fold in half and staple or sew. But I wanted to verbally express to you that the order of the pages doesn't matter that much, but there are a couple of little tricks in the way I laid it out so that it will print out and be correctly oriented to make sense as a booklet. And that requires a little bit of shuffling sandwich pieces around for you after you've gotten it printed. And again, pay attention to double-sided printing settings. So choose long edge, flip on the long edge, or choose side flip, and you will probably end up with the pages all going the right direction. So that's what I've made for you, and thank you to the people who contributed their 5-finger prayers as well. I hope these prayers that you can hold in your hand offer you some nourishment, offer you some comfort, offer you some connection to your body, to the sacred, to the goddess, to the breaths of the holy that breathe their way through your life. I hope they reassure you. I hope they inspire you. I hope they bring you back home to center. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of strain. There's a lot of challenge. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot to mourn. There's a lot to protest. There's a lot to rebel against. There's a lot to stand up for. And I hope that this practice, this offering, will help support you and nourish you as you do this hard, good work of living. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching.